Do not provoke your children to anger. Now, does this mean your child should never be upset with you and should always be happy? Absolutely not. Child psychologist Dr. Kevin Leman, he says sometimes an unhappy child is a healthy child. All right? Your children sometimes ought to be downright unhappy because of the poor choices they've made in their life. Okay? Proverbs stress time and time again the importance of parents disciplining their children. But the character, particularly of a Christian parent and a father, as emphasized here, should be a lot different than the unbelieving world. In the Greco-Roman world, the father possessed what they called the patria potestas. It's the authority of the father. According to some of the sources I studied, now a Greco-Roman father had more authority over his son than a slave owner did his slave. And as is common to human nature, when someone possesses that much power, it tends to abuse. A Roman father could have his son imprisoned, scourged, shamed, enslaved up to 3 times, and even killed. And this would last the son and father's entire life. Now, of course, no, Greco-Roman fathers loved their children just like every generation has fathers that love their children. But they did have this absolute power and authority that tended to abuse. And Paul is saying this: Christian fathers, Christian parenting should be different because of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It fundamentally changes how we look at our children. And that's why I said character. Parents, you're to live out godly character in front of your children. You don't use your child for your own satisfaction and gain. You don't take pleasure in irritating them, but we love them even as we love ourselves. And better yet, we love them as Jesus Christ loved the church. So parents, make sure your discipline at home is under control. Your discipline should never be out of anger. The anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And if you're not under control in the home, you have no business administering any kind of discipline. I don't care if that discipline is corporal, bodily discipline. I don't care if it's verbal or even confiscation. Because you can abuse a kid emotionally just as easily as you can abuse him physically. You can create an environment where a kid never knows if mom and dad is just going to snap irrationally this time. But the gospel should bring hearts that value gentleness, forgiveness, as well as justice, love, and discipline. The gospel should produce self-control in us as parents so that we administer good justice. And punishment should fit the crime. That is biblical justice. But if you spank your kid for every little thing they do, if you berate a kid up and down, give them a tongue lashing, you make them feel like dirt because they're being a goofy kid, if you confiscate all their toys because they're not perfectly obedient at all times, you're out of control. God has not given you power and authority so that you can make your kids serve your desires, but so that you can serve them and raise them up to be God-fearing, God-loving human beings. And parents, here's the deal. You can fake Christianity in front of me. You can fake it in front of the church. I'm telling you right now, you cannot fake it in front of your children. They see the real you, day in and day out. If you don't want your children to grow up believing the church is full of hypocrites, then live it out at home. My solution is not to fake it then in front of your kids and walk on eggshells in front of your kids. My solution is have a real gospel transformational experience with Jesus Christ. That's what you need. Our parenting would be different because we'll ask for forgiveness when we're wrong. We'll confess our sins even to our children. We'll sacrifice, we'll love, value them as persons, walk in joy with them. That's character. Christian parents should have godly character.